Welcome back, everyone. I wanted to connect with everybody today. I was feeling strongly guided to discuss how we are all moving through these very powerful energy waves. So we just wrapped up the 2/22/22 energies, and many of us are feeling this very strongly. I am noticing across the board that some are feeling the energies very powerfully, while others are kind of like, I'm not feeling anything. And I'm one of the ones that is like, I'm not really feeling anything. So I wanted to share some of the tools and techniques that I have been using that have been assisting me through these very powerful energetic frequency shifts. And these are just some tools and techniques that I have been using. I do encourage you to share some of your tools and techniques. Now, I have a YouTube channel, The Existential Empath, and I also have the podcast, The Existential Empath Podcast. So for those of you who are wanting to share, I would encourage you to jump on my Facebook page or my Instagram page and just really start creating a community there and being able to share and connect with one another. And that is my intention with starting these videos in this podcast, is to really gather the empathic souls together, the ones who are going through this ascension process, who are all resonating with the information that I am currently sharing. So I am called the Existential Empath on everything, so you should be able to find it very easily on those platforms. And like I said, I do encourage you to jump on them because I want to start having us all begin to connect with one another. It's really important that we share our tools and techniques with each other so that we can move through this ascension process a lot faster and with ease. So one of the very first things that I do to help me cleanse my body, and I want to talk on a physical level and then an energetic level as well. So I'm going to share some variety of tools and techniques. Now, some of these may work for you and some may not. That's why I want us to all begin to collaborate on what works, because if you've tried something and it's not that great, then try something else. Because I know what works for me may not work for some of my friends, and we've been able to discuss that, and what works for them doesn't always work for me. So one of the things that I think is key for all of us is to make sure that we are drinking pure, clean spring water. All right. So most of the water that's coming from our tap, at least here in the United States, is full of fluoride. Fluoride is a neurotoxin, and what it does is it actually calcifies our pineal gland. And the pineal gland is that little pine cone shaped gland right in the middle of our head. And it is our connection to our higher self. It is our connection to that source energy. And if we are continually drinking contaminated water without us even recognizing it or realizing it, then it can hurt us and hinder us in ways that makes it really difficult for us in our ascension process. So I personally buy reverse osmosis water, and then I add electrolytes to it. So trace minerals or any type of electrolyte. Here locally in Spokane, they sell what's called Light Balance, LYTE, and I add that to my water, and it provides the perfect ratio of the magnesium, potassium, sodium, and those electrolytes into the water, because reverse osmosis basically removes everything. I would go down that rabbit hole yourself if you are unclear of what types of water to drink. It was definitely an awakening for me to research all the different types of water, but you want living water. So whatever water that you choose, you want something that is living. Here in northern Idaho, I'm able to go to a spring when it's not super cold out. We can drive to a spring that is super clean and super fresh water, and it's some of the best water that you can drink. So one of the first things is to check your water, and if you are unclear on which water to drink, highly suggest you go down that rabbit hole and start researching it. The next thing is to add certain foods into your diet. So really taking a look at what types of foods are you ingesting. Many years ago, I started to realize I had a lot of sensitivities to a lot of foods, and I couldn't really put my finger on specifically what foods they were. I just knew when I ate certain things, I didn't feel very good. So I went down my own journey and my own path to learn what is best for me and my body. And for me, organic food seems to digest the easiest. And it also doesn't, it helps me alleviate some of the symptoms of some of these very powerful energy waves that come through. Most of the food, specifically here in the United States, is sprayed heavily with pesticides. And I do understand that not all organic foods cannot have pesticides on them. I do get that there are certain crops and fields of pesticide produce next to crops and fields that are organic, and I do understand that entire concept. However, me personally, my body seems to be able to digest the organic foods a lot easier than eating regular processed foods and the things that we see at the grocery store. So I can definitely tell when I eat something that is bad for me. I cut out dairy many, many years ago. It was something that was just wreaking havoc on me, and I switched over to nut milks. I make a lot of my own nut milks, which is not that hard of a process. You can really research that and learn how to do that on your own. It's also important to have an alkaline diet. So alkaline fruits and vegetables, looking at the different types of fruits and vegetables, which ones are higher in acid and which ones are higher in alkalinity. And as I began to really dive into this and research more about the foods that I was ingesting, I noticed that whenever I was moving more towards an alkaline diet, I began to feel better. So there are alkaline waters out there as well, and you might want to research that. I have an alkaline filter in a pitcher, and I do use the reverse osmosis in that because the alkaline filter brings back the minerals into the water. So I do notice that I feel good when I drink that. I don't drink that every single day, but I do incorporate that into my diet, and that's really important to do that. Also, going back to the water, I want to talk about intention. Water, when we set an intention over our water, it will change the molecular structure of the water. I encourage you to research Dr. Emoto. He was a Japanese scientist that did a study on water molecules. And some of you may have seen this study done to plants. When you speak poorly, he actually took basic distilled water, and he had one that they spoke very poorly to and one that they spoke very positive and loving to. And what he began to recognize was the ones that he was speaking positive and loving thoughts or sending those intentions towards that water. Under a microscope, he saw that that water was beautifully crystallized. It had created these almost like snowflake structures. And then the water that they were speaking poorly to or sending bad thoughts to looked murky and muddy and mucky. So if you're struggling with finding a good water source or some type of water that is best for you, you can actually set an intention on that water. There's a reason why we have been taught to pray over our food. And basically what it does is it's setting an intention over that food, and it's changing the energy of that food. So if you are beating yourself up about finding clean water or finding clean food, then I encourage you to start setting intentions over your food and your water. It will change them, literally energetically change the molecular structure of the water. And I do this regularly. Even though I do gravitate more towards eating organic food, you don't have to have all your produce be organic. There is a list called the Dirty Dozen, and there are several foods that you do not have to purchase organically. Some of them that I would encourage you to purchase organically would be some of the ones with softer shells, or softer coatings, like peaches, strawberries, even potatoes. Any of those that have a softer, permeable kind of outer shell on them, so to speak, or skin, where those pesticides can kind of soak into it. So look up the Dirty Dozen, and that way you'll have a better idea of which produce you are more beneficial for you to buy organic. I'm about 90% organic with the foods that I buy. And when it comes down to eating, I actually eat for the chakras. So I'll probably do a podcast specifically on eating for the chakras because it's an entire topic in itself. But basically our chakra system is our energetic system, and it is aligned with certain colors. And if you fuel your body with these colors, it creates a stronger and more powerful light body, and it can really strengthen and enhance your aura. So when you're eating these really vibrant colored foods and applying it to your chakra system, you will begin to notice that your energy will enhance and it will get stronger. So there is deep meaning behind eating fruits and vegetables. It's not just, it makes you healthy, it actually enhances and strengthens your light body as well. So it's important for us to recognize that many of the things that we have been taught, to do and to eat and to drink, there is a deeper meaning behind it. There's oftentimes an energetic meaning. It's creating that chi in the body. And you'll begin to notice as you start to slowly pull away some of those processed foods and maybe the dairy, even meats for that matter. Now, I'm not fully done with eating meat. I have dabbled in that many times, and for some reason, my body keeps taking me back to wanting to occasionally eat meat. And it's not very often, but my body is still telling me you need this. And I think a lot of it for me has to do with grounding. If I start to not eat meat and I eat too many fruits and vegetables, I start to feel very floaty and unstable. And we need to really ground ourselves into this reality. I know as empaths, many of us want to shoot up out of our bodies, and it's important for us to be able to ground. So if you are really beating yourself up about eating meat, then stop doing that, because there's a reason why you are being guided to eat meat at this time. So there might come a time when I completely stop. And I've gone for many, many, many months without eating it. And then for some reason, my body says, okay, it's time to have a little bit here and there. So I will introduce that back in, and then I can go for many, many months without having it. So listen to your body. Our body is our GPS system. It's that internal system that's telling us what it needs. And if you are craving something, then open yourself up to receiving that and intuitively ask yourself, why am I eating this? So if you are eating meats, it's important to eat clean meats without antibiotics, without nitrates. Really try to gravitate more towards organic, grass-fed type meats, things that are cleaner, okay? And just like the water and the food, you can set an intention over that. So I personally will go in and set an intention over my food and bless the animal that is providing me with this food source. And I do notice when I do that, I don't have so much stomach upset, or I don't have so much pain or whatnot in my body. So it really is, everything is energy. And I can't emphasize that anymore. Everything is energy. So if you're looking at things from a physical standpoint, shift your perspective and look at it from an energetic standpoint. You can absolutely shift the energy of whatever it is that you are ingesting. So something else that I think is important is meeting your local farmers, getting out there and going to your farmers markets in your local area. And I know with the last couple of years, it's been a little difficult because not everybody's having farmers markets. And I know that was definitely what was going on here in Northern Idaho. But once you meet your farmers and you have a good idea of how they take care of their land and their produce, you'll have a good indication of whether or not you want to purchase, fruits and vegetables from them. So it's really good to get those local produce, but to also understand, are they spraying their produce with pesticides? Are they using Roundup? Are they using these types of things that are highly, toxic to our bodies? So getting out at your local farmers markets and chatting with them and having a good understanding of how they're taking care of their produce on their land. Chlorella, spirulina, zeolite, these are some highly good chelators. So chelators are what pulls heavy metals out of the body. Cilantro is an excellent one. Wild blueberries. Okay, so any of you who follow the medical medium, he talks very highly of wild blueberries, specifically from Maine is what he really emphasizes. but he's got a wild blueberry smoothie that will chelate mercury and other heavy metals out of your body. Atlantic Dulce, I believe is how it's pronounced. But adding more cilantro into your diet, organic cilantro, will help chelate those heavy metals out. Zeolite, bentonite clay, that's another one that I love. You can use it on your skin as a face mask. You can actually ingest it. It will kind of latch on to those heavy metals and bring them down into your intestinal tract to digest or to excrete. It's really important to detox, to use those types of chelators while you're detoxing. So if you're switching your diet up and you've been heavily eating processed foods most of your life, and now you're like, I'm going to completely go vegetarian or vegan, then it's important to incorporate some of these chelators into the body as well, because these heavy metals, mercury, will dive deep. It'll burrow itself into your brain tissue, into your fascia. It gets deep down in there. So you want to make sure that you are excreting the heavy metals and the toxins as fast as you are pulling them out of your tissues. And personally, I have learned that the hard way. I started to do some serious detoxing, diving into parasite cleanses and yeast cleanses, heavy metal cleanses. And I was in so much pain and so much agony that I didn't really realize that I needed to excrete it faster than I was pulling it out, because all it was doing was I was pulling it out of my tissues and then it was going in my bloodstream. So it's like moving from my brain, now it's down in my lower back or my hip or my thigh. And I had to learn the hard way that, oh man, I'm not chelating these out fast enough. So it's important to really have a strong harmony and balance when you're going through that detox process. Also, incorporating certain medicinal mushrooms. These can be amazing. So lion's mane, reishi, cordyceps, there's so many of them out there, chaga, and they do different things. I personally buy a powder that has like 7 or 8 different ones in there. I think it's called the OM brand, OM, and I love it. You can make a tea out of it. You can add it to your smoothies. You can add it to your soups or, anything that you might be cooking, and it will give you those added benefits. Reishi is excellent for anti-aging. Lion's mane, I believe, is good for focus and cognitive abilities. Chaga is really excellent for activating your pineal gland. I know I've done a podcast and a video about how to activate your pineal gland and why it's important to do that. So check that video out if you have more questions on that topic. Herbs are also wonderful. Herbs come from the earth, and there's so many of them out there. I'm just going to touch on a couple that I know have worked really well for me, but going down the herbal path and the herbal remedies is a complete rabbit hole in itself. So I know for me specifically, the liver is one of the most important organs. And when I worked in organ donation and transplantation, I was one of the ones who oftentimes would go into the operating room. So I got to see a variety of healthy livers and unhealthy livers. So in the healthcare field, when you have an unhealthy liver, oftentimes it is super yellow in color. It could be dirty looking, brown, kind of jaundiced, and they would consider that to be a fatty liver. And when your liver is super healthy, it's like this kind of like my sweater, almost a maroony, pinky, vibrant kind of color. So our liver is a filter. It's a filtration system. And if we begin to detox our bodies through our food and our water, and our liver gets backed up, it can cause a lot of problems in the body. So it'll start pushing it back out to the kidneys, maybe the pancreas, the spleen, gallbladder. So it's important to make sure as you're cleansing yourself that you are incorporating some liver positive herbs. That would be dandelion root, okay? Milk thistle, licorice root. I believe that chickweed is also a really good one. Burdock root, I believe, is good for the liver as well. So there are a variety of them out there. I love dandelion root. I feel like it's very coffee-ish. I don't know. You can kind of replace your coffee with dandelion root. I think you could potentially do that if you were really moving down that path. And it will cleanse your liver. It will act as a diuretic. It'll help just move things through. And it is super helpful on the kidneys as well. And roasted dandelion root is really good. You can have dandelion greens, any way that you can incorporate that into your diet. I do it as a tea, but I think you can buy it in a capsule form or a powder form as well. So it's really, important to be able to excrete, through our sweating, through, we can expel it through our sinuses, through coughing. We expel it through our, going to the bathroom. There's many ways to get those toxins out of the body. And oftentimes what you may notice, I know I've had friends and family who have noticed this, once they start detoxing, they will get these rashes, all over their body. And many times when we are getting these high energy waves coming through, you will begin to notice all these flare-ups, right? All these things will come to the surface. And it's because the energy is making room or making space for new energy to come in. More light is coming into the body. And your body is working really hard to get lighter and lighter and lighter. However, these toxins are holding it down, making it denser and denser and denser. So oftentimes what people will call ascension symptoms are really just the energy pushing these toxins out of our body. It's making room for new light and new energy to come in. So that can be in the form of heavy metals. It can be in the form of parasites. It can be in the form of just any type of toxicity in the body. It can even be in the form of emotions. So trapped emotions. So if you're having some symptoms, maybe you're having some heart pains or some panic attacks or coughing a lot. These are symptoms of trapped emotions that could be bubbling up, and they're coming up to be released. So not every single time that we're having these symptoms is it a physical root cause. It could be an emotional root cause. So it's important to kind of discern with your own intuition, where is this coming from? Now, I use a technique called muscle testing, and I will probably do a podcast on this as well in a video, but applied kinesiology is another term for it. It has been a lifesaver for me. It changed my life when I learned how to muscle test. I literally can muscle test anything. I can go through the grocery store and muscle test foods and supplements. I can muscle test emotions. I can muscle test, is this my energy or someone else's energy? Muscle testing is one of the best tools that has helped me have a better understanding and to trust my intuition so much more. And the neat thing about muscle testing is I kind of call it a training wheel because it's something that once you learn it, you get to a point where you don't need it anymore, right? It's just a validation. It's kind of like using a pendulum or dowsing rods or, things like that. But muscle testing for me is something that I have it on me. I can use my fingers, I can use my hands, and it will automatically give me the information that I need. So when it comes to understanding a little bit more about why my body is going through something or why am I having this physical symptom or emotional reaction, I can muscle test through it. And as an empath, it's one of the best tools that you can learn. So another thing that has worked really well for me is doing a parasite cleanse. So once you start shifting your diet and your the water that you're drinking, you might want to look into doing a parasite cleanse. 99.9% of us have parasites to some extent. And I have found out that one of the best parasite cleanses is a combination of wormwood, black walnut, and clove oil. So I get it in a small little tincture. And what I have learned is that parasites are more likely to come out around full moons. So that's kind of, you can kind of understand that because when they come out, that's when everybody starts acting a little weird and a little off, right? The word lunatic has actually come from the word lunar, right? Lunar cycles. And I would recognize this in the hospitals. When I worked in the hospitals during that time, a few days before the full moon and a few days after, it just got crazy, working in the emergency room and the intensive care units. So what I do is I start my tincture about 3 days prior to the full moon, the day of the full moon, and then I take it 3 days after. So I'm looking at about 7 days every 6 or so weeks. And I am noticing that that is helping me significantly getting through some of these energy waves as well. Black cumin seed oil is also something that's really good to take for maintenance. I take that daily, and that will alleviate a lot of those parasites as well. So if you have never done a parasite cleanse, or it's been a long time since you've done one, you might want to research it and consider some, some avenues to best cleanse yourself of parasites. Mugwort tea is also a form. Mugwort is a form of wormwood, and it will also help alleviate that as well. And it gives you the added benefit of lucid dreaming and astral projection, which is super fun. So check out that video and podcast that I have also posted as well. So another thing that has been helping me, now this is on more of an energetic standpoint, is Bach flower remedies. So B-A-C-H, Bach flower remedies. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how beneficial these have been for me being an empath. There are 30, I believe there's 38 different Bach flower remedies. And what they are is they are flower essences. So a flower essence holds a certain vibrational frequency, and every single Bach flower remedy will hone in and adjust, kind of like a little tuner on a radio station, will go in and adjust your personal frequency and vibration. So on my website, thesoulcafe.org, I have them all listed out on there, specifically their little summary and what they do. For me, I will say throughout the course of my life, I've taken several of these, and I have had massive quantum timeline shifts whenever I take them. I can feel my vibration shifting. I can see my reality changing, and it's not like it happens overnight. It's something that subtly progresses. And then you look back like a few weeks later, a month or two later, and you're like, whoa, have I completely shifted that significantly? So they have really helped me. And I do utilize my muscle testing to figure out which one is best for me. I have all 38 of them. And I literally, when I feel guided to do so, will muscle test through them, which ones that I need to take, how many drops of them that I need to take. So if you haven't really heard of Bach flowers and you want to learn more, then I would encourage you to check out my website. I have them all listed. And one of the best ones to start off with is the basic rescue remedy. It has 4 or 5 different Bach flower remedies in it, and it will help with trauma and, deep trapped emotions. So if you are kind of unsure of which one to choose, I would encourage you to get just the basic rescue remedy. They do have them for pets too. So our little pets are also going through this ascension process as well. So if you notice that they are struggling or having a hard time, there is one on my website for pets too. Essential oils. Okay, so it's funny because I was really big into essential oils about 10 years ago. And I have always had them. I've got like 100 of them. I don't even know. But I started to recently during these very powerful energy waves begin to utilize them more. I have been using them in my diffuser at night. I have like a humidifier diffuser next to my bed, and I use them at night. And I also incorporate CBD oil into that as well. So not just CBD oil isn't just for ingesting, you can also breathe it in as well. So I have a lavender CBD oil combination that I love. And I've also got that on my website too, if you're interested in that. But I am using those more regularly, specifically frankincense. Oh, there's a reason why Jesus was given frankincense, myrrh, and spikenard. Those are some of the highest vibrational essential oils, along with rose oil too. So utilizing these oils throughout your day, and my friends joke with me because I have an oil diffuser in my car and I play different frequencies, and it's like a traveling spa. Anytime I go out and about, I've got sage oil, running in my diffuser. So when I run into the grocery store or Walmart or whatever, I come out and I'm getting saged in my car. But I love sage. Palo Santo, that's another one, a really good essential oil to utilize. But where I'm getting at is having these oils diffusing or putting them on your body, or taking a salt bath with Epsom salts and adding some essential oils in there will literally cleanse your auric field and raise your vibration and raise your frequency. And when you incorporate these with CBD or Bach flower or even ormus, orbitally rearranged monoatomic elements. I use gold specifically, but when you utilize these all together, it is like a supercharger for your auric field, for your light body. So when you incorporate these, it will bounce you up in vibration. Now, it's important to understand, and I learned this the hard way too, when you start to really amp up your energetic field, you've got to wait for your physical body to catch up. Our physical body is a lot denser and it's a lot slower in vibration. So if you're working really, really hard on your energetic body and your light body, and then you're like, oh, I feel terrible. I feel terrible. You've got to do things for your physical body too. So that would be eating clean, taking salt baths, movement. Another thing is movement. So doing energy routines. If you aren't familiar with Donna Eden, I would encourage you to research her. She does a lot of different energy routines, you know, doing things that cleanse your energy, doing crossovers, figure eights, you know, a lot of different movements. You can do yoga, Tai Chi, you know, anything like that where you can move things along, because guys, this energy is coming through almost like a river and our little bodies are like a straw. Okay. So the energy is coming through so powerfully. And if our little straw is blocked at all, it's going to cause congestion in our body and in our energetic field. So utilizing these different techniques and tips help you move through this energy so much easier, and you're going to feel so much better. So some other things that we can do are solfeggio frequencies. Solfeggio frequencies, I believe, are a set of 9 different tones, 528 hertz, 963 hertz. These are some beautiful, beautiful frequencies that naturally attune to the human body. So they will correspond with our different brainwave frequencies. So those thetas, the deltas, the alphas, the gammas. And when we listen to them, our body will naturally align. So I like to listen to 963 hertz at night. It's the astral travel, lucid dreaming music. But during the day, I like to just have in the background the 528 hertz. That's the heart chakra music. And you will begin to notice as you listen to this, your nervous system will begin to respond, right? It'll calm itself down. You'll feel more relaxed. I began to notice it with my pets. You know, once I started playing these solfeggio frequencies in my place, my pets were super chilled out. They would just, you know, stop having all these symptoms and all these anxieties, and they were just like blissed out, you know, all the time. So these can be really, really helpful in getting through these powerful energy shifts. Now, solfeggios are a little bit different than binaural beats. Binaural beats will play one tone in one ear and one tone in the other ear. Well, solfeggios just have a specific tone in the background, and oftentimes they'll have a musical orientation that you'll hear. So you could hear some waves or some cosmic music or just some nice piano, soft music. And these can be very beneficial to our subconscious mind, because our subconscious mind responds to them. So if you've got your oil diffuser going and your solfeggios, and you know you're taking a nice bath, maybe you want to incorporate some crystals. Crystals are excellent for helping us move through these energy waves. If you're new to crystals, and you want to know which ones to buy, I would suggest shungite. Shungite is a black crystal that's mined out of Karelia, Russia, and it helps with grounding. It's a black crystal. It helps with grounding and also protecting you from electromagnetic frequencies. And you can put those right next to your router, next to your computer. They've got ones that you can stick on the back of your cell phone. I've got a few on my website, and all the ones that I have on my website are right from Russia, which is where you want to get them from. And rose quartz. Rose quartz is such a go-to crystal. I feel like rose quartz, it opens up the heart. It helps with relationships. It's very subtle and soft and soothing. And then I always encourage selenite as well. Selenite is an amplifier and a charger. So it's a white, very high vibrational crystal. And I mean, I'm kind of a crystal crazy person. I have a lot of crystals. So at nighttime, I will muscle test which crystals I will need to help align my body. And I put those under my pillow at night. So I could be sleeping anywhere from 2 to 12 crystals, at nighttime. So that really has helped keep my vibration high, and to a point where I'm not really feeling too many of these energy waves coming through. And then when I do feel them, it's like, my spidey senses go off and say, okay, what area do I need to tweak a little bit? Is it my physical or is it my energetic? It's so important during these energy waves to provide yourself with the most proper self-care. So however that self-care looks for you, it could be taking a bath, it could be taking a walk in nature. Getting out in nature is highly recommended, especially in the sunshine. The sun is putting off so many light codes right now and so many activations that many of us are craving the sun. We're being guided to be in the sun. We're being guided to go to places where we can have constant sun, which is really funny because about 4 years ago, I was guided to move from Florida to Washington State or Northern Idaho. And I did not realize how much I took the sun for granted living in Florida. It just was always there and it was so hot and I was getting so much of it. And then once I moved, going through these seasonal changes, I find myself like a plant. I'm just like, oh, the sun's out. I'm sitting in my window. It's like 12 degrees outside, but I'm sitting in my window just soaking up the sun. And for many of us light workers, we are being guided to be in the sun. The sun is providing us with ample energy and it's enhancing our light bodies and it's creating very powerful activations within inside of us. So whatever self-care looks like to you. For me, there was a time I was literally every month doing a different modality. And it was really fun. I was doing salt therapy, cryotherapy, visceral manipulation. And if you guys want to learn more about those therapies, I have a ton of videos on the Soul Cafe YouTube channel that you can visit and check them out. I did a lot of different videos. I was going through some pretty significant energetic shifts at the time and I didn't really know what to do. So I started to dabble in a lot of different modalities and I thought, why not share these experiences with people too? So there's so much out there that you can do. It's just a matter of what resonates with you, what works for you and your body. And you've got to tune in and listen. Tune in and listen to that inner GPS system, that intuition, that heart, gut, mind connection, and really hone into that. And you may begin to notice, this is something that I noticed, is I would use certain modalities and then after a certain amount of time, they wouldn't work anymore because I was advancing in my frequency. And as I began to do that, I noticed that I needed to learn. The universe was kind of pushing me in a direction to learn new modalities and to learn more and to really trust and surrender into my own intuition and understand that it's all within inside of me. Everything is energy. So like I said before, a lot of these things are training wheels to teach our subconscious mind the repetition of what feels good. Follow what feels good, guys, right? I think that's the most important thing right now. Follow what feels good. If I can really emphasize some advice or some recommendations. If it doesn't feel good, then don't go that direction. That's not the path. That's not the alignment. Move to what feels good. If deep breathing techniques like box breathing, where you can breathe in for a count of 4 or 5, hold for a count of 4 or 5, breathe out for a count of 4 or 5, and then hold. Do that for several minutes. That resets the parasympathetic nervous system, right? That rest and digest response in the body. Many of us right now, as with these solar flares come through, as these energetic waves come through, our nervous systems are being activated, they're being upgraded. And when this happens, it can be quite painful. It can present itself in a 3D concept, like fibromyalgia or, MS or, these different types of things. But really, it's just these powerful energy waves that are coming through. And for us highly sensitive people, it can be a lot. It can feel very, very heavy and very overpowering. So understanding our energetic body is so important during these waves, and understanding that our energetic body is communicating with our physical body, and our physical body is the last to manifest the symptom. So if you're having a symptom in your physical body, your energetic system has sent that kind of broadcast out a long time ago, right? So going back to the root of it and figuring out, well, what is that? Where is that coming from? And really just providing your body with the proper nutrition, proper water, and the proper rest. Let's talk about that too. Rest, getting enough sleep. Many of us during the ascension process are having a difficult time sleeping. We find ourselves up all night. We have a lot of energy, or we're exhausted and we can't sleep, or we're being woken up at 3:33 and we're like, what is happening? If you're being woken up at 3:33, on a physical standpoint, your body is detoxing. If you look at the Chinese medicine wheel, for every single time throughout the day, there is an organ that is detoxing, that is being cleansed. So if you're being woken up at a certain time at night, I would encourage you to look at the Chinese medicine wheel and see, what is this that is bothering me and waking me up? Now, on an energetic standpoint, it could be your higher guidance team coming in and saying, okay, finally, you've relaxed. Finally, you're not distracted by your phone or Netflix or, all these other things. And now, hello, I'm here and I've got some information for you. So tune into your body, tune into your intuition, and ask, what is coming through? What is it that I'm meant to understand? What is it I'm meant to know? Maybe go into a meditation if you're getting woken up in the middle of the night and be like, okay, I'm open to receiving whatever it is that you're trying to tell me. Oftentimes when I've done that, I'll wake up with that energy and I'll meditate. And within the hour, I'll get my information, jot it down, and then I'll go right back to bed and I'll feel much better. So getting that proper rest, our bodies are regenerating at night, and we are feeling either insomnia or complete exhaustion. I'm the opposite. I always joke that I came to earth to sleep, whatever. I just love to sleep. It's something ever since I was a kid. I just have no problems sleeping, but I'm also incorporating these things into my sleep routine. I'm turning off, my devices at least an hour before I want to start settling down to go to bed. I've got my oil diffuser going with my lavender and my CBD. I've got all of my sleepy time crystals, under my pillow. I do deep breathing exercises to calm my central nervous system, to relax my body. And I will listen to solfeggios all night long, whichever one I choose. There's so many of them out there. And so I think for me, the moment I hit that pillow, it's like a routine. The moment I hit that pillow, I am out. I am out like a light. I also encourage you to get a good mattress. Get a good mattress. If you're having a hard time sleeping, it could really be your mattress. I have had several clients that have said, I can't sleep. And I'm like, when's the last time you replaced your mattress? Oh, I've had this one for 20 years. No, it's so important to have a good, firm mattress to sleep on. So these are just some examples of things that I have utilized to help me through these very powerful energetic waves. And I do hope that some of these tips and tools, you can take away some, and then you can throw some others out. It's really up to you guys. It's whatever you resonate with. I'm just sharing with you some of my tools and my experiences that have helped me along the way. So if you're watching this video on YouTube, I encourage you to share some good, positive tips and tools that you have used that can help others. And for those of you on the podcast, I encourage you to, share it forward, share with others some tips and tools that you're using to help you through these waves. And we're all in this together. And the more we raise our vibration, the more we raise our frequency, the more sensitive we get. So it's kind of hard to go back to things that we were used to before. And I noticed that when I start to shift my diet, I will notice I'll try to go back and eat sugars or dairy or, things that I have eliminated, and it makes my body, it wreaks havoc on my body. So it's really about finding that balance and finding the harmony between the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies. Okay. So I hope that this was super helpful for you. And I look forward to sharing more valuable content in the future.